Okay, we'll start again. I think I'll start with just going through this example and kind of explain how I solve something like this. So we need to figure out what gets logged here. So for me it's easier to kind of start down here and then work my way up. It's just easier for me. So document dot get body text color. What is get body text color? That means that on the document object, okay, there is a property called get body text color. Okay, when we call that, and the value of that is a function. So if we see what get body text color is equal to, we see here we set the property, and that property is equal to this get body text color. What is that? What type is this?
Function.
It's a function. How can we see that? How can we see that this is a function?
You call it.
Yeah, so one you can call it, and also up here we see here is the name get body text color, and we see that it's a function. Okay, so that means that this function here is equal to this function here. Okay, cool. So return this. Okay, we need to figure out what the value of this is. What part of this logic are we in with here? Are we in 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4? Where are we in that example?
Which line?
Yeah, I'll just show you. Let's do this on one side maybe, and this on the other. Here, when we reference this, okay, we need to figure out this keywords, what it evaluates to. Okay? 2.3. Okay? So, can we all agree that we are in function scope? Because, as you said, exactly, it is in a function. That means we are in function scope. Global scope would be if there was a variable out here. That's global scope. We're not in global scope, we're in function scope. We're inside of a function. Okay, and then you said in other cases this evaluates to window. So if we start up here, if called on an object, this evaluates to the objects. Okay. Why do you think we are down here?
Nothing from the previous one.
So we're calling a function here, and this one document is an object. So we are saying document dot get body text color. Okay. So we are actually calling it on an object, and the object is document. Okay. So remember that this is just equal to this function. There's nothing kind of magical about it. But what is a little tricky is that document is an object. And if you didn't know that, well, then it's tricky. But document is an object. So we call document.getBodyTextColor. Body text color is equal to this, which is equal to this, which is equal to this. So we kind of go up and up and up. And obviously that has been made just to make this quiz kind of a little difficult. It's difficult. This would be terrible code if anyone wrote this. But this is just to make it difficult. Okay, so we are in a function scope and the function is being called on an object because we say document.getBodyTextColor. If we just said getBodyTextColor and called that, okay, let's copy this. Maybe this is easier. If we said just this, where are we now? Up here. If we just call this function, what does this evaluate to? Yes, exactly. Okay, we are inside of a function here because it says function, and we are not calling this function on an object. We are just calling it. Okay, we could create a new object if we wanted to. Yeah. And we could say get body color equals get body color, and then we need to say body dot style dot color. No, body style color, okay, equal red. If we now did test object dot get body text color, okay, this function is equal to this function. Okay, and the value of this is equal to this object because we are calling it on that object. Okay, so that means that in this case here, this will be equal to this object, but we're not doing that. We do like this. I'll keep it just so for reference. Oh, sorry. But let's remove this. Okay. But because we are calling it on an object, the value of this here is the object. Okay. So now we know that this is document. Okay, so now we have solved half of the puzzle of this question. We know now that this is equal to document. Cool. But we still don't know what the color is. We still don't know what this .body, .style, .color is equal to. So we still actually don't know what it returns. We just know what this is. So we look upwards again. Okay, we see here that there is a function called again on the object, and it's called set body text color. It is set to the color blue. What is set body text color? The key. What is that equal to?
Function.
Exactly. Here we have the key or the property of document that is equal to this. And set body text color is a function, as we can see up here. So we go into the function and take a look. Set body text color, it has a parameter called color. Then it says this .body .style .color equal to color. Okay, we see now that this .body .style .color is exactly what we're looking for. Okay, so we're kind of happy. But we still don't know what the value of it is. because we don't know what this is yet. Okay, so in this, when we call it down here with the blue color, okay, what is this equal to? And what case are we in? Are we, what, sorry?
Documents is called on objects. Document.
Yes. So we are in function scope. Okay. We have a function. So down here, that means we're in function scope. And it says if called on an object, this evaluates to the object. And we see here that the setBodyTextColor function is called on an object. Okay. And that object is document. Okay. Therefore, this is equal to document. Okay, so we say document.body.style.color is equal to the color. And the color that we last set it on is blue. Okay. So here it's green, but then it's overwritten by blue. So the color should be blue. Okay. Let's check if it's correct. Yes, we get the blue. So we're happy. And then we are console logging the return of some function somewhere that says undefined. But we're getting blue, so we are happy. Okay. Oh. Oh yeah, because I run it. Yeah, it changed to blue because I just ran the function that actually did change the color to blue. Yeah. Okay. So I know this is difficult, but try and use this as much as possible, because I think this will help you. It is kind of my homemade creation, but I hope that it will. Yes, exactly. And don't get too afraid of these, oh, they set some key to some other function. Just be nice and calm and say, okay, well, what is this equal to? It's just equal to a function. Okay, fine. And we know in JavaScript we can send functions around like we do with map and with filter and all these things. So it's like just taking a deep breath and kind of just going it one step at a time. What is this equal to here? What is this equal to here? That is at least how I try and solve it. Apart from that, did you solve the rest of them? Were you right or? Yeah? No? A lot of silence in the room. Okay, yeah. And you were right? Okay. Nice. Should we do one more? Yes? Okay, I see some nodding. Let's try and do this one. Console log counter.count. Okay, so counter.count is equal to 0 here, but I think maybe this is easier to go the other way because we are adding some stuff. So let's start from the top here instead. Counter.add. Okay, add is a function. Let's look into add. Okay, add function this.count plus plus. Okay, now we are asking the good old question as we always ask ourselves. What is this equal to? Okay? What, sorry? No, this, what is this equal to? Yes.
What is this equal to? So this.
Okay, yeah, sorry. No, the this keyword. That is always what we ask ourselves, what is the this keyword equal to? Okay? Counter. And why? Where are we here?
2.1.
Exactly. Okay? We are in function scope. That is because it says function, and we have the curly brackets. We make a new function, so in here we are in function scope, not global scope. If called on an object, that means, is the add function called on an object? It is called on an object. It says counter.add. That means that this, in this case, okay, refers to the counter object. Okay, so this dot add, it just adds 1 to the counter. So when we log it out, here there's no mumbo jumbo, no magic. It's just counter.count. We get the value of count, and that should be 1. Okay? Add to count. Okay. What is add to count equal to?
Function.
A function. And why?
It's not called.
No, yeah. There's nothing about calling or anything now. I'm just asking, what is add to count equal to?
Function.
Exactly. It's just equal to a function, and what function is that? Exactly. This is the function. So let's maybe do this a bit more simple. So we are asking ourselves, what is add to count equal to? It is equal to counter.add. Okay. So is this fine? Yes, exactly. It's just a reference. No mumbo jumbo, no magic, no nothing. It's just a reference to the function. Okay? So it's like, okay, counter.add, we take the value of the object where the key is equal to add. Well, the value of that is equal to this function. Cool. Now we can very clearly see that add to count is equal to a function. It's very clear. Here it's a little more tricky to see. Okay? But it's fine to do it like that if you're not comfortable with the other way of writing it, like when you're doing an exercise like this. No problems, okay? And actually it can be really helpful. Okay, so let's keep it like that. Then we say add to count. Okay, calling the function. Okay, add to count, it has a this, and we want to figure out what is the value of this. Okay, so what case are we in here? 2.3. Yes, exactly. Okay, we are in function scope. We define it in a function, which is here. Okay, here the function is, and here the this keyword is. Then we say, if called on an object, is this function called on an object? No, it is not called on an object. It's just being called. Okay, cool. Is it called through some special function like bind, call, apply? Let's see. Nope. No bind, no call, no apply, no any of these. It's just being called. Okay. Then we say, in other cases, this evaluates to window. Okay. So that means in this case, this is equal to window. So what would happen when we do window.count plus plus?
Undefined.
Yeah, undefined or error or nothing. I don't know if it'll throw an error. It might throw an error or something like that. I'm not sure. But what's sorry?
Undefined one, because it will convert undefined to a string and then add one.
Okay. But it won't affect our count up here. Okay, in the object, it won't affect that because here this is equal to window. Okay, so that means when we log it out here, what should we see? Still one. Yes. We call the add to count, but because we are not affecting the counter object, it's just going to be 1. Let's check if we were right. 1 and 1. Okay? We were right. Now let's do something a little more tricky. I kind of want to keep that in there, but let's do this. Okay. Var counter, count, add, and now we have arrow keys. Okay, so I think we can all agree that we are in this case, okay? Arrow functions. This keyword is taken from the enclosing scope. Okay. What is the enclosing scope of this function?
Window.
Exactly. It's the global scope. Okay? It's not this object. It's the global scope. Okay, so what is this going to be equal to here? What, sorry? Window. Yes. So let's try and do that. So we get 0, right? We call at once, but it does nothing because this is equal to window. And let's try and log it out just to show that it's this. Don't save it. Window. Okay. Yes. Okay. I think that's what I'm going to be talking about. That's all for this keyword. Not completely, but now you kind of get it. I think just try and use those cases. See what case you're in, and then see if it makes sense for you that way. I hope it's a little clearer with that. Cool.
So it's okay if I tattoo myself that list you did?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
To be proud.
I think we'll need to do a review of it just to make 100% sure it's correct. It would suck if I was wrong.
I can always put something on top. Right?
Yeah, but at
You
least.
need to shorten it, otherwise it's painful.
But it has worked for me so far. So. But yeah, let's do a tattoo of
Just
that.
write it on a piece of paper and keep it.
Oh, but you'll throw the paper away, you know. Just underneath the Hack Your Future tattoo, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we created this car object up here, and I think actually I'll just take this down here in the bottom. And I think we log out like tons of things. Log sound, don't log this. And some logging here. And yeah. Oops. Okay. Yeah, so what I wanted to show you actually was just that with this object literal, and you've seen that, so I think you kind of get the concept now. We can do car dot increase speed. Let's increase it by 10. And if we want to see the speed, what do we then do? Log what?
Current speed.
Yes. So some errors up here. 88. I need to let out a bit more. Oh. Okay. Let's see here. Number. So here we have car dot current speed is equal to 0. Why? Let's go through we know how this is done, okay? We have a function here, car dot increase speed, okay? And we want to know what the value of this is, okay? So, let's see what case we're in. Let's go up. Here, okay? Are we in global scope? Exactly, we're in 2.4. We are in a function, okay? And we are in 2.4, okay? And what is it about 2.4? Well, it's arrow function. This keyword is taken from the enclosing scope, okay? And the enclosing scope of this function is window. Yes. It's not the object, it's window. Okay? So, how can we change this?
Change the arrow into function.
Yeah, exactly. We can do it just like a normal function. Now we get the 10. Okay. Cool. We'll go back into the exercises now. Just after, would you like to say the things about the homework, or would you wait with that?
I have posted comment for everyone, so I think.
Okay, that's fine.
Get email.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we'll move on to the next exercise, exercise 2.
Man, you have the fellowship of the ring in your desktop. You're a great guy.
Do I?
I don't know. Or maybe it's another movie called The Fellowship of.
I don't know. Maybe.
Sorry that I was sneaking in your desktop. Like,
No, that's fine. I have lots of shit on my desktop. No, but we'll continue with the create class example that we did in the exercise last time. But now, instead of students just being represented by a name, okay, they should be represented by an object with the following properties. Okay, a name, an age, a wallet, and a grade. Okay, and then there's some methods here: add money to balance, change name, change age, and check balance. Okay, and this wallet is not just a key; it is another object. Okay, and the wallet has balance and transactions. Okay, so it'll look something like this, where you see constant student equal to name Benjamin, and then you can have a function called change name. Yeah. Change name. It changes the name. Okay, let's not do this with these. But then it also has a wallet. Okay, and this wallet is equal to another object that has a balance, something, and transactions. Okay, so try and see if you can do that. And the last thing is that down here in the create class, okay, you gave the create class, you gave it an array of students here, where before there was just a string of the student, whereas now it's an array of these kind of students. Okay. Does that make sense?
You can say no.
Yeah, you can say no.
Yes.
Okay, so here we have one student. Okay, create class, a student. Okay, these students, it's an array, and the first element I will call student. Maybe student 1. Okay.
Then you also need wallet from wallet to they would say wallet.
Yes, and they need different wallets. Okay. Yeah, should we?
It's too difficult, I think.
Yeah, maybe it's a little too difficult. I don't know. I could do about. You know what? I think this was a bit too too difficult. I think I'll explain a bit about.
I remember the last class I really didn't make it through.
What?
Okay.
That we were doing it last class. This exercise. I didn't really.
No, I mean, like for me, the confusion is like, what is the requirement again?
Yeah, sorry. I didn't. It was not like super detailed. Sorry about that. I think I'll explain you about 2 more things instead. About destructuring and a bit more about promises. And then we'll maybe just cancel this exercise or change it or something like that.
Homework, maybe as an extra, we can try to.
Yeah, and I'll be a bit more clear of the requirements of the exercise should be. Okay, cool. Let's talk about promises. Yes. So last time we did promises further. Last time we did a promise. Can anyone help me with making a promise that waits for 1 second and then resolves? So let's say 1 second promise. Okay. Equals 2. Yes. And what does it take?
Let's take two parameters, resolve and reject.
Yes. Set. Callback. Yes, and what do we do in here? Okay. Can we shorten this? Can we make this shorter? Yep. Can we make it shorter?
Yeah. There's still one arrow, so you can theoretically squeeze off.
Like this?
No, I mean the other one.
Which? Oh, this?
The resolve and reject.
Are you talking about this part?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. We can do that as well.
We'll need the
like this. Can we shorten it even more? We can actually just give it the function here. So here we're just giving it this function. It's exactly the same as kind of making a new function and then calling that inside of the function, but we can just give it the function. So now this is going to be our callback function, which is this, okay? So let's do it like this instead. Here we are, this is a function, okay? Constant resolve function. Okay. So if we do like this, it's the same, right? It's exactly the same. What, sorry? Yes, of course. Because now we call this function and it resolves. It calls the resolve function. But this is just a reference to, this is just a reference to the function. And if we give set timeout, just the resolve function, which is equal to a function, it just says, okay, I know that after 1 second I need to call this function. Okay, so we don't actually need to wrap it inside of a function. Then it's like it's a function that calls a function. Okay, but we can just give it the resolve function and then set timeout. It'll figure out, okay, when I have waited for 1 second, I'll just call this function and everyone will be happy. Okay, cool. Let's do another one for 2 seconds. 2 seconds, promise. And the last one for 3. So we need to change this and we need to change this. Now there is a function with promises called all. And let's have a look at it. Promise.js all Indian. Okay, the promise.all method returns a single promise that resolves when all of the promises in the iterable argument have resolved. Okay, so we can create a promise. Promise dot all. And what did it take? Take something called an iterable. And if we go down here and see, it says promise.all. So it's an array of promises. Okay, that's kind of cool. So we can do like this. 1 second promise, 2 second promise, 3 second promise. Okay. What do you think this returns? What type is this? What is the return of all? It's another promise. Yes. And what can we call on a promise? Exactly. We can call .then. What does .then take? Exactly. It takes a function. Okay. And here, let's just to begin with say all promises have resolved. Okay. When should we see this? why free?
1 second.
1 second. Yeah.
Because as long as he is so far, you will return 1.
No, it says all.
You will return 1. I read.
It returns after they all have resolved. So it actually returns after 3 seconds. Okay, but let's try and see who are right. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Right in my face.
Pretty close.
No, there is
No,
also
it's not.
There is also timestamp on the console, so you can see.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
3 and 5. Yes.
Right on my face.
I was not counting on
There. Yeah. So here, and what is also cool about it is that if we wanted to send some data, okay. So let's make this into a function again. What happened here? Okay, like that. Okay, if we wanted to send some data from the first promise, what do we do then? So we want to say when this promise resolves, it kind of gets some data down the line. What do we need to do?
the response as an argument.
Yes, exactly. So here we can put in our data. So let's just say it's 1 second time out. Okay. Where do we get this normally? How do we get out this? Exactly. We would do 1 second promise dot then. Okay. Here we would have the data. So that means this, okay, would be equal to this. So if we log it out here, that should give us 1 second timeout. But when we're doing the all, wouldn't it be nice if yes. When we are doing the all, so promise.all, we also want that data, okay, and we can get that out here. How do you think this is structured? This data?
An array.
Exactly. Yeah, it's an array because we gave in an array of 3 promises. So when we do the all, we want the data from this promise, from this promise, and from this promise. So therefore we're gonna get an array where the first element of that array will be the data of the first promise.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So hopefully we'll see like 1 second timeout in the first element, and then I guess undefined in the rest. So we wait. 1 second timeout, undefined. Okay? And that, like, this functionality can be really helpful. I had, for example, I made like a kind of a Tinder swipe thing where we needed to, first off, when you swipe, we needed to get some data from an API. That was the one promise that we did. And the other one was a timeout that was set for the time it takes for the card to be animated out of the screen. Okay, so we say these 2 promises, start them when you're done with kind of moving the swipe card out, right? We get the data and we wait for the animation to be done. When these 2 are done, then we can start getting the next card. And I can't remember, there was a lot of things that we did in that application, but it was this part of where we had to get the data from the API, and we had to do the animation. It had to complete the animation at both times, because if we just got some data and we got it very quickly and we started loading in the card, the card wouldn't be completely swiped out. So we would be like, the card was half swiped up, and then suddenly like the next one would come in front of it, and it would look really weird, right? So we need to say first, when the card is completely out and we have the data, now we can animate the next one into view. Okay, so that was
so cool to see the promises in an example that is not an Ajax recall. Usually we're like used to like, at least for me, I always associate them with like Ajax recall. Good to see them here like in an animation. You were doing it.
How we did that was with an animation. It literally looked at, we had a CSS property animation, and we kind of took out how long that animation was. It was 300 milliseconds. And we would just set a timeout,
Okay.
and when that timeout was done, we
Very
would
clever.
resolve, right?
Cool.
So we had those two promises. One that just waited for the time it took to swipe out the card, and the other one to get the data. And when both of them had resolved, we animated in the card. So that was like a practical example of how we used all. So it can be really helpful. Yes. Okay. This exercise you can do. Forget this stupid exercise too. Exercise 3, okay, using only promises. Send a fetch request to the movies, and at the same time you send a request to the programmer humor, okay, at the same time. So what are you thinking then? Oh, yes. When they have both returned, log out the results, then wait for 3 seconds using chaining. Okay, so wait for 3 seconds and then just log out something. It doesn't really matter. Okay, let's do that.
So log out first or wait first?
What, sorry?
Is it log out first or wait first?
Log out, wait afterwards when you have the data from the two APIs.
So you fetch and then you wait and then you log out.
Yes.
Because it says then wait first.
Well, it says, fetch from the two APIs, log out the results from those two APIs. Okay, we want to see the movies and we want to see the programmer humor posts from Reddit. Okay, when we have done that, then we wait for 3 seconds and then we just log out.
Okay.
Waited for 3 seconds or something like that. And if you can work in pairs, that would be fantastic. I forgot about it today, sorry. Yeah, we have some group, you two, and over here, maybe you three can work together, and then over here.
Too short. We fetch first. So basically, we need to create two promises and then wrap them together.
Do you remember? Oh, that's expansion. We see
So I
saw
will
that.
create a
Not set in
promise.
last.
I have no idea. I think I don't need to do this. I just need to say fetch. Oh. Store the URL. So this one is going to be so it's fetched and then set timeout. So it should then come like this fetch is actually just your fetch. So then we're going to say now we'll return promise. Now this is a promise. We can actually just press over out and say so this is more promising.
I spent such a long time doing that. Well, at first. Because I needed something, where they could get the hands with like this, but without using kind of. Yeah. And so that. Yeah.
You can just discuss the homework after this.
What, sorry?
You can discuss the homework after this. And then we'll be done.
Yeah, maybe quickly talk about the structuring.
Because yours is stage keeper.
Yeah,
Always
and bigger.
I would be confused about this stage keeper. Why are you naming URL again? No, now we want the promise, right? We need the URL. Actually, you don't need to copy anything, because when you just do it, okay, so now we have two promises. If you want, we can even log out. Okay. So now we have
Oh no,
two
you got
promises. We have to bind them together. First of all, yeah, yeah. Well, the set timeout, what do I use? What do we set timeout? You can try. Yeah, you have it. So it always gives you that intense sense. Yes. And then you got them. First of all, you wrap the two promises, right? Array. It's array. Now we put the two promises in one array.
Do you have any fun side projects, Pankaj, these days? Or?
Yeah, I'm working on this e-commerce thing.
Okay.
Two interns from India. So,
Okay. Nice.
so I spent like my late evenings writing code.
Okay. What kind of thing is it? What?
So my girlfriend has started this organic store. I want to launch a e-commerce website, and it should integrate with the bookkeeping software she's already using.
Okay.
And then we need to integrate with some payment solutions which are available in India and a few other things.
Okay.
And then I'm also trying to do some cool things like this is in Django, like
Yeah.
Python Django,
Mhm.
and then for front end, like I just forked one open source project and trying to change it, customize as per my own use.
Yes. What kind of project is that? Is that like React, Angular, or is it
So
like
they have a
WordPress?
dashboard using React,
Yeah.
and the front end is regular Django with HTML.
Okay.
Dynamic HTML,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
old style, PHP style thing. Yeah.
Okay. Is it nice? Like, is it going well? Or?
So yeah, it's going well. I have to set up some infrastructure things, like yesterday I installed Jenkins, and then I want to have CI/CD in
Yes. Yes.
Then I'm using Docker for deployment, so that I just build a Docker image and then
Yeah.
so, and I want to do this thing which I have in my current job. We deploy for each pull request. So every time I create a pull request, it would get deployed to a URL.
To a URL. That's cool. Then it's like some hash, and then
Yeah, so like PR and then pull request number dot
Yeah.
beta or something. So
that's cool.
So you can just basically create a Docker image for each pull request.
Yeah.
And then so I moved from GoDaddy to Route 53 from Amazon, and then using the Amazon API I can create a new subdomain, and I can point it to the same IP address, and then create Nginx config using a like template that just use this subdomain name, and then everything can be same.
Okay.
And then use a
Okay.
random high level port for Docker to run and things like this. If I get it done, then it will be very easy to work with. Then I can hire more people in India, because then
Yeah.
they can just contribute, and then I can just look at their work. And
Yeah. Oh, that
Because
sounds really
it's
cool.
difficult to work remotely. So if I use correct tools, then
Yeah, it'll be easier, or it'll be easier to get new developers. So
yeah, it will be easier to get more developers.
yeah. Cool. How did you get started with Docker?
I have been using Docker, but I did not look into much detail till now.
Okay.
But yeah, so I have this subscription. This is an like online library, Google site,
Mm-hmm.
and so if I want to learn about something new, I just go and search for it, like Django, and then Django courses. And like
But that's with your work probably, or something like that,
no,
right?
this is my personal account. So
Okay.
I pay like 180 kroners per month.
How much?
180, 200, less than 200 kroners per month.
Okay.
And then like Angular, on a weekend you want to watch a video lecture for 1 hour,
Yeah.
and you get to know about like GDPR. Like if someone has made a professional course of 1 hour, I can just go and watch video on GDPR and understand that if you want to do a side project in Europe, you need to follow so much law,
Yeah.
data protection and all that.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So you've kind of been.
yeah, I have used Linux and Ubuntu a lot, and I have done a lot of backend development
Mm.
in past, so
Okay.
it's not that problem.
No. Nice.
And then I can take inspiration from some things at my work, that how have they implemented the Jenkins
Yeah.
file. So
Yeah.
But
it's
they,
always easier with like templates, and you can just modify,
yeah. Because like with the job, it's not always very exciting every day.
No.
But when I get home, I can like spend 2 hours, and then I will be happy that I did something today.
Yeah, you actually achieved something. Yeah. Cool.
What are you working on? Like now you have a lot of time, right?
Yeah. We have a kitchen that we're doing right now at home.
Nice.
I spent some time doing that, and then reading up on VMs and doing like a project with pretty simple, but like a sourdough, how to make the perfect sourdough bread, because I just figured it out, with like schedule and how many bread you want to take. But it's fairly simple.
Nice.
But I was really annoyed. I wanted to do like a web app that would, before you went to a new event, like a Facebook event, would kind of say, sometimes you go to an event and you can't remember people's names. So I'd have like something that said, oh, you want to kind of brush up on what people's names are, and then kind of like in a swiping manner, what is this person's name?
Face
Oh,
and
it's
name,
like
face and name.
exactly, face name, and maybe so you had to type it. But Facebook doesn't give you.
So you can have an app with just gallery view, and then you can tap on the photo, and then you can.
Exactly, something like that, or you can write the name, so you kind of maybe get the name stuck a little bit better. That was and then it would, use push notifications for service workers and stuff like that. But yeah, Facebook doesn't give you access to the attending people of an event. Like even though you give them,
You have to write a
you get
crawler.
what? Sorry?
You have to. You can write a crawler for that.
Yeah, then I have to write a crawler.
I have done.
But I
crawler.
can't do that with private events.
No, if you're part of that, then then you have to authenticate yourself, and then it will.
Exactly.
If Facebook detects, then they will block your account.
And like to get the attending people of an event, you need a authentication token from the creator of the event. And it's like, that sucks, because then for every single event where someone has my app, the owner needs to kind of say good. Oh, and it's like, oh, you wanna authenticate the remember my name app from this user. It doesn't sit right.
Then you have to save token, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I was a little annoyed with that, because I was like, okay, it's gonna be no React and service worker and all these things, but I was like, I don't know, man.
In latest version of Chrome, they have supported something which we wanted. So Canvas was not supported in service workers, but now in latest version of Chrome, you can use Canvas in service workers. So if you want to do something with images, then you can do it in like, I think same with WebGL or something.
Okay, cool.
Like you can do image manipulation on a hidden canvas.
But what would you do that for?
So in my company, like we have this kind of UI. So basically we have this software which can be used to follow Bitcoin, how it is moving. So people like say that 2 hour transactions. Basically it's investigation software. So
Yeah.
and then we have used this library which is HTML canvas to draw this whole thing.
Okay.
And we need to support high quality PNG image exporting, and I'm just using HTML canvas in the background that like zoom in to 200% and then move this
Okay, like
and then slide it and then stitch images together.
Yes.
So if I can do it in service worker, then user will not have to wait for it.
That's cool. Yeah.
But the problem is that you can do it in Chrome, but you can't. This code will not work in Firefox.
No.
And they need this feature because in some police departments, once they create this whole thing, that how the money has moved from this place to this place to this place. Like if someone steals 100 bitcoins, they will spend them, right?
Yeah.
Because you have stolen money, so you want to spend that.
Mm.
And because it's Bitcoin, you can track how the money is moving once you have one Bitcoin address.
Okay.
So they can create a this whole flow chart, and they want to print on 1 meter by 1 meter paper and then put it in their whatever
Yeah.
crime investigation room.
Okay. So you need that to be like really high resolution.
This one is very low for 1 meter by 1 meter print.
Yeah.
It's a pending feature.
But does it take a long time to kind of do that?
So
Because you can, I guess you can just zoom more in, but
yeah, but then if you have very large, very small images, then there is a limit in Chrome that you cannot have a canvas more than 32,000 pixels.
okay.
So then I have to send it to backend. This is the first
Yeah.
image data,
Yeah.
second image data, and once you move it to backend, then you have to implement queuing because
Yeah.
they will be pending request. Yes, like similar to if you go to Google Drive and you have a very nested folder, and you say that I want to zip this folder and I want to download it, they will say that we will send you an email. Don't
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
You may have to do similar thing. They will send you an email once we have this image data.
Yeah.
And this is needed by FBI, one of our top paying customers.
Okay.
So, and they use Firefox 52 because of IT guidelines. So that's my pain. Like I did not know about all this. If I knew that I have to work with old browsers and things like this, then Bitcoin is fun, but working on this kind of limitation, that's not fun.
No. I did that ton. I probably spent 40% of my time at the last place
Yeah.
just not even cross-browser, like old browsers,
Yeah.
IE and Edge. Oh my god! You can implement the feature in like a couple of hours and then spend 2 days getting it to work on this weird small Android phone, from
Our co-founders have like this iPad mini, even smaller than this one, maybe this one, and they use this website on iPad, Safari.
yeah.
And then once they report a bug, of course it's high priority because the CEO is reporting the bug. And it takes so much time to reproduce it. So I have to run an emulator on my Mac, and then you can open JavaScript console in Safari for an emulator. And it's very stupid, like Chrome supports 32,000 pixels for image width for HTML canvas, and then Safari supports 4096. So like 4,000 versus 32,000. So it's 8 times less.
Yeah, so it's quite a lot.
Yeah, so if you have 4 GB RAM, you can support large canvas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So but they don't consider that. And Chrome is like, we will just do, we eat RAM, so we don't eat the
No, they don't give a shit. Oh, that is fun. They really don't though, they just spend as much.
So I just work on this whole feature that export high quality PNG, and it was very high quality, and then I realized that, oh man, it will be high quality based on browser. If the browser is old, it will be 100% resolution, it will be 200% in Chrome.
Mm-hmm. You should like, no, you can't do that. Like spin up a hidden Chrome browser that minimizes and then do other things. And
If they are doing it in service workers now, then I think we can force users to use Chrome for this feature. If you want really high quality.
Yeah.
Because their backend is written in Java, and I don't want to learn a new programming language just to be able to implement all this feature.
No, that would suck.
Not getting paid that much money, I'm not going to learn a new language.
No.
I can write a microservice in Python, but because it's so like it's just 10 lines of code in Python.
Yeah.
Like to do image manipulation, because Python has so many open source libraries that and they're really fast because they're written in C and they just have a Python wrapper.
Mm. So that's the struggles you have.
Python defeated Java recently. In programming language ranking, like how popular they are on Google search, Python just defeated Java last week.
Oh, nice.
So it's on number 3 now.
I really like Python.
JavaScript is on number 1, I guess.
What's that?
Okay. Yeah. I really like Python, so we did like Flask for our previous startup. It's like simple, nice and easy.
It makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. It just makes sense.
You can have 100 lines of code and you can do so much.
Yes.
If you use right libraries.
Yes, exactly. You just need to like.
And if you have to do the same thing in Java, then
Yeah. No. And then it's like importing all these libraries and it's I just remember one time where it's like, oh, you have to loop over this hash map or something.
Oh, yeah,
And my God, the line for that is so long.
then you have to use angular brackets.
Yeah, with the type inside of it.
Generic.
Just that. And then make that work, and then if that works, then add it to the good work.
Is it not happy?
No, not happy at all. So basically,
Why did you delete
right?
What?
Maybe here.
No, that's
Make
I'm
it
testing.
fetch.
I'm just trying to make a test. The thing is that
Can I
don't hate me because I put it in there and it's not a meaningful name.
Okay.
Where if I make it
You
here,
have to get
the
into
wait a second.
the
And he does
response from the. Don't bring that. That's not.
What does the function? We'll do 32 seconds.
So basically, I'm getting undefined.
So sit down. This is a function. So the resolve inside the call.
But
function.
okay, so this is an array, okay, of data.
The thing is that
Yes.
the response doesn't run the result.
Yes. So when you call a JSON, then what is the result? What is the result of this?
No, and the never because something wrong.
So we're calling from solve.
Oh, what to resolve?
Just right.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, you asked this looks right. Yeah, sorry.
And
Because
it doesn't do anything.
this is a promise.
It doesn't do anything.
No, sorry. Let's see. Like what I was thinking is you get the data, okay, and then you make a new array.
Yeah.
Okay, that array is just data with a JSON. Okay, and then, sorry, data. First one. So we do the JSON.
No way.
This is, but
No way, doesn't work.
and then what can
It's
we
still
do with
this
this?
is problem. Okay, so
Yeah, we can do it.
with the promise and then in wait for 3 seconds. Or what is result? Result, what is result? Result is also a promise, right?
part of the promise.
It's a function? It's a
If we
function?
return promised at all, then so this is a promise.
Yeah.
That results when both of them.
It's not a big
Okay.
input stuff, so
Function
Then
where
we-
is that instead of making my life easier.
something that out.
So
And you write
Do you
inside
see kind of the
result,
difference?
Yes.
Yes.
As a string. I understand.
Good.
because now because that is exactly the same case we have here. We want to resolve two promises at the same time.
So we
And
should
then we
return
can-
all of them.
Yes, exactly. We should return the result of promise.all,
The array.
which in itself is a promise.
Mhm.
So that means this will first run when this promise has resolved. I think that should work. Try see if it actually does.
No one is receiving this yet. Yeah, no one's receiving this. So. Okay, now I'm getting even more
How you do
like
that?
the fuzzy idea about promise.
I have
Oh,
clear
yes.
a lot of problems with this chaining thing.
So, what is result?
Oh, we need to. We haven't called the JSON. That's why. Like, yeah, you know what it is. That returns a promise. Sorry, not just the JSON. Try that.
No, for the
You can
method
see in here.
returns a promise. That is,
So programmer human enemies.
what can they create here?
Anything, an object is generated.
Then I would
1, 2, 3.
check if these are promises. So I would like first maybe log out data.
So theoretically that should work.
I still like how to connect this same time out with the, for example, dispatch.
Once you have that,
I mean, like dispatch, I
So you
really know.
put the fetch inside the timeout. It's here. Here you wait. So here you say do this function, but wait 3 seconds.
You're doing some weird thing, I think.
Right? That's what's in timeout. So you put the fetch here. Right? So you say,
Oh, we're getting
okay,
into the
I
error.
want to fetch this URL, whatever, right? But then fetch it after 3 seconds. Like,
Access
You're not done yet.
next.
Okay, we're definitely getting some error now.
You just say we're not done yet.
Try to scroll
Okay,
into
this is
this
a promise.
URL. That's fine. Try the other one.
No.
this is what
It looked like it did some weird.
Why
Try
Doesn't
removing.
give me
can't we
anything.
just already code here the set
It's
timeout?
also the promise.
So
So he's saying that
it is
following statement is
They
saying
two
that
promises.
return a new promise
and then everything up is
Change. So you can do set time out, but you want to return the promise and subscribe.
That's the same.
Here you are creating a new promise
No.
which when the fetch returns results, and if it doesn't result it
You
rejects.
can go
But
back.
that is actually just
Why did it log it?
to
Because it's a bit small. You don't want to put there.
so we don't need to wrap it like this. We can do it just like this.
It was code
Because
test.
fetch in itself
Clearly
returns
was
the promise.
something meant to be a test.
It works. The statement is. Yeah, so if you look at the following statement,
The result and I wait for the actual where it says
use
return.
I have no idea. Now I'm like my idea
Yes.
about promises, right? About this. So how do
I
I
think
connect
you just
some
have
time
it.
out with the
I don't know where but you did, but thank you so much.
do you
Yes,
understand?
because I don't, I mean, I have
I'm
here,
gonna share it because
this
So
one,
basically,
negative
you
three
create, you
but I
create,
don't know how
yeah,
to
then
like,
this.
for example, wait for 3 seconds, and then log it out.
You just do like this.
You want your dollars to go keep all the bad
Function. Inside of this function.
So if it's the movie theater,
Waited for.
then it returns a promise, which is a promise for the return. Once you have the promise to return, you use dot JSON, it will return a promise for JSON return.
So you take the promise and then you call dot then.
And then inside of the wait 3 seconds, I started like fetching
So then you have to create
the
four,
promise I created.
which is another promise. You
What, sorry?
It returns again.
So here, I created
more
two
promises.
promises,
So you
one
have
red
three
and one
promises.
promise, and
When
I
both
put
of
it in
them are
the
done,
promise off,
then
and then
when both of them
so
are done,
inside of the promise off,
log
then
return
we just
third
put in
promise,
this
and then
wait
third
3
is then
seconds
log.
promise. And is it inside or like or after this then? And then I started to fetch the 2 promises.
Thank you.
So you can do this in
I
two
will search
ways.
now.
This is the
So
classic
take
way.
a look and
Okay, then
actually
just go.
understand what is happening.
Then
Mm-hmm.
It is easy for.
Yeah,
inside
he
of
said it like
then we'll get called
reading a
when
book.
we resolve this function.
Mm-hmm.
You make it sound so clear.
Yeah, yes. We call resolve.
If you use the interpreting the code like this,
I just need that way all as we
whether
learned
you
last
use
time.
or
We can
take this promise,
Mhm.
this is using change. We can just return this promise, and then in the next button, this will say, oh, what you returned here was a promise. Okay, so I think, or I have to wait until this promise results, and then I call this button. Okay, so now we hear.
Thanks. So now we're gonna read again. Let's do that.
Wait a second.
After
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Here, that was the last part of the lecture from last time.
Yeah, yeah, this.
We just return it. The next button will say like, oh, I'll have to wait until this promise has resolved. Then I'll call my button.
But then like this, for these two promises, I just put it like in this, the second change got them to resolve it,
Well, I'm not sure what you
so,
So here you're resolving two promises.
yes.
One is the GitHub promise and one is the REST. I guess they are both just fetch, right? Fetch with the UI.
Yes.
I can't see the Reddit promise.
It's here because I comment out.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Oh.
So when these two resolve, you call this function. So at this point here, now we have data from these. And how can you get the data out from these two?
Then,
Yeah, and we have done that. But where is the data from? Where's that from?
actually, like this is also the confusing part because I didn't put it inside of the. I mean, I really didn't like really fetch it. Say it was promise. I mean, these two variables are just promises, and they didn't return me anything. I mean, the promise actually has something. But then, so I just put data. I'm quite confused.
Okay, that's a news. In here, we have the data. Okay. What we have here is the result of the individual promises. Yes. So it's the value of the result. So for example, if we did it a bit more simple, if we wanted to send a string here called hello from hey, then we resolve it. And where is it we get this string of hello out? Where do we get this?
It should be after this return.
Yes.
Just
And where?
here.
Yep, it's inside here, but where do we get it? Where?
Inside of the brackets.
Yes, here. Okay.
Okay.
Hello string.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's how we send, data from our promise. We do it through the result function. We give it some data. Here's just a string called hello. Okay, we can get that out here. With promises, or with the fetch, it's the same. So if we did just like a normal promise, then what we have here is you can call it the data, but it's actually the response. I don't know if you can remember that, but it was called response. And when we do response, do you remember what this? Yes, but what was the return value of this function? Do you remember? Nope. It was a bit confusing. It's another promise.
Then is the real data.
Exactly. Yes.
But if I mean here, so here I actually don't want to, I mean like, so this part of data from these two promises, I don't want to like, I want to actually pass it on, so I don't put the, this promise here, right? Because otherwise, like, how does the next dot then knows what data I want?
I think maybe, I don't know if I wrote the exercise wrong. I just wanted you to log out the data of the two movies here.
Yes. Yeah, but I need to wait for 3 seconds. This is the part that I use. Like,
But
so
this is kind of fine, you know. Here, if we do like this, this is fine. You get the data from the movies. Okay, you say, but then on the dot then now we have gotten the data from the two APIs. We have returned that, so we are kind of happy. Okay, now we want to wait for 3 seconds, and then we do this where we just return the promise. That means that we first resolve 23 seconds.
But then I actually already logged out the data before I waited for 3 seconds.
No, you first log out the data and then it log out 3 seconds.
Yeah, that's why I said like, so isn't the time and we need to wait for 3 seconds first and then log out the data?
Oh, no problem.
I was like, oh my god.
Sorry. You can't do that as well.
Yeah,
It doesn't
that's
really
the part
change
I
a lot.
don't understand how, because like before, just now we were talking and I was like, so this data, I mean, this data, but this data, get back from these two promises. If we put it in this dot then, and then we return it for physical promises, and how does the not next dot then refer to data? Because it's not, yeah, it's not returned.
No.
Yeah, that's why like I'm confused. How to wait for 3 seconds first and then I resolve the two
And then, so now we have waited for 6 seconds.
Yes.
And then we return.
Comes to off. Oh, bravo.
Then we just return comes
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. I
The
understand.
next one, but then
Yeah.
is when we have.
I was kind of stubborn on it. I have to put the front stop on outside and then how do I
Okay.
test the set time out.
Yeah.
Whew. What?
Yeah, sometimes it gets
So
an error
basically-
if it's down here.
You also want
If it's from the Reddit,
Hmm?
just remove the program as
Okay.
you want and just do
Basically,
all
we
on the
have like these two promises and we will do
other
one
movies.
fetch the data after
So
the 3 seconds.
do-
So we just
So
make a wait for 3 seconds promise,
it returns to
and then we first of all we create this promise,
now it should
and
be.
inside
But yeah,
of this
sometimes
3
it gives an
seconds,
error. I'm not quite sure what that is.
so you will wait, and then you basically it's the same. You just put this part inside, and of them data, and then you go to return this data, and then log out the data. Yeah, that's all. Very simple. I was like stubborn on this. I have to put the select timeout inside of the promise dot off, and then because the data there's nowhere to store the data. The data was like going around. I don't know if you understand me. Because like you see what he was writing here. Data is from these two promises. But then we were returning this wait for 3 seconds promise. So the next dot then will only refer to this wait for 3 seconds promise. Will not refer back to the data fetched from these two promises. That's why it doesn't work. When I was thinking, it doesn't work. Both are not working.
Okay, we'll just quickly go through the homework for next week. Continuing on previous week's homework. So review the closure. So the solution to last week's homework are available in this folder. Okay, here's the HTML and the movies part. and the closure and the movies. Review the closure solution and try and complete it on your own. I think if you have made it, then that's fine. I don't know why this is in here actually. But review the movie solution, complete your own implementation, and then add the following features on top. Create a way to select movies by decade. Okay? If we find yeah, I can't find it right now. But so you know, right now you have some filters. You have the search and you have the rating, and we would like you to also be able to select the movies from a decade. Okay, so that's another filter on top of this. Similarly, allow the user to sort the movies by name, rating, or year. Okay, so those are two extra things. It's another filter, which is the decades, and then it's allowing the user to sort. And there is a filter, an array function called sort, and you can find the documentation online. Yes, so that's the first part of it. So kind of improving on the movies part. And the next one is a small exercise on closure and promise. Write a function that would allow you to do this. So you create a base and then you add 6 to the number that you give it, and then it'll return 16. You have done something very similar to this in the homework that you've done for this week. Rewrite the following code using promise and other control flow tools. Okay, so here we have the good old get Ajax data that we've used tons of times, but now we want you to rewrite this using promises instead. So that when we call the function get Ajax data, what that returns us is a promise where we can call the then, and the then is first called when we have the data from the server. Okay, so it's kind of like writing your own fetch implementation actually.
Okay, and the callback is gonna be.
So the callback is gonna be gone,
Okay.
because now instead of using callbacks, we use promises.
Okay.
Yes. So, and so this part is just kind of showing. Yeah, so there's some data here that actually uses this API. So now you need to rewrite this. So instead of saying get Ajax data with some URL and a callback function, that was what we did in JavaScript 2 and the beginning of JavaScript 3. Now what you do is you say get Ajax data with some URL. That will return a promise where we can call .then. Okay, so this needs to be rewritten a little bit. Okay, and you see here there's some if error. How do we do that in promise? Exactly. Okay, when we create the promise, we have two functions we can call: resolve and reject. Resolve is when everything goes well, and reject is when we have an error. Okay, so we see here there's some callback here if an error happens. We don't want to do the callback part. We want to reject the promise. Okay, so try and rewrite this using promises, and then there's some closure part here, and you will need to create an HTML document out of the below snippet to run the code below. Okay, so you can just make a new index.html and just copy this code right in. If you run this, okay, you see that there's a problem with this solution. This doesn't resolve what you would expect it to resolve. Okay, and if you get stuck, so you can solve this using closures. And if you get stuck, there's a Stack Overflow question here that answers kind of what can be done, how this problem can be fixed using closures. Okay? So those are the three things. It's fixing the closure, rewriting this to promises, creating this closure part that you've done very similar in this homework, and then it's adding the decade and the sorting mechanisms for the movies part. Okay? Any questions? Yes?
I saw like there are 2 weeks as mentioned that we will have a test, and then we never had.
No, we haven't got a test. Not
That's like
not
2
so
weeks.
far.
Instead of 2 weeks of preparation, it says like we will have a test.
You came prepared for a test?
It's a surprise test. We will test you.
When you don't say it, right? When you say it, you never do.
It's so you're always on your toes, you know. No.
Always ready.
Always ready, yeah. If we hit you with the test.
I got a question.
Yes.
Are we still counting on you for the next class, or?
No. That would
Okay.
be.
Don't count on us any questions.
So I'm gonna ask you a big applause to the guys. That's been awesome so far. I think it's been like really a great thing to have you aboard. So
Too many
thank you
promises.
so much. Come on, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been nice having you as well.
Is the next week?
It's been
next
really
time
nice.
Still some recap in JavaScript.
We
Recap
could do
process,
that.
so-
I don't know. I'll talk to Christopher. Maybe we'll do an extra.
I'm
extra
taking back the
JavaScript.
applause then.
It depends. Let's see. I'll talk with Christopher. So it maybe it's JavaScript, but probably it's Node.
Still is. It's debugging and kind of recap of everything that has been done.
Okay. You'll see us next time.
And
But
then
thank you for that.
after that, you guys will start Node.js. So you will probably slowly start looking into Node.js, that you do. Small things.
Samara? Okay, nice. How do you think it's going?
See you, Benjamin.
Yeah, see you, Pancake. Thank you. Because, yeah, that's I just saw you, maybe you looked at it.
Yeah, it was fine today. It's not like so hard, but it just sometimes there's things that I don't know about, and then like I have to do the workshop and like see what's that.
Yes, but otherwise try and see the videos
Yeah,
that we've
it's
done.
really hard to see the videos actually because sometimes like the voice just like fade away and the video
They
gets
do.
far and like
Okay.
And if you have some notes here, like I can see what it is. Like
Yes.
in the reports.
Yeah.
So it's like
Okay, that's a really good learning actually. We should maybe be a bit more.
Yeah, because like when I talked to Christopher before, I said like I have some projects which is like I was invisible with the performance, so it's like I can't predict them. And I told him like I will see the videos and the reports.
Yes.
And I thought like okay, that would be a way to
Catch
work.
up.
Yeah, but it doesn't really work.
Okay.
It's so hard.
Yeah. Because of the voice and
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Also like sometimes the sound is just like a little
Okay.
clear.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but now I guess and also like I'm not here for some sort of because I'm also having a project for so I guess maybe I'm just gonna like go to the other class and read that script again.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea because especially those 2 weeks that you
Yeah.
missed, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, either like the homework was fine. videos, but if the videos are not super good, it's not so helpful. Because, yeah, these 2 weeks is just so much.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a shame that I missed it. Yeah.
But try and see if you can follow, and you know, for all of these things that we teach, promises, closure, this content today, like there will be thousands of YouTube videos and other guys explaining it in different ways, and it's not like the way we teach promise is very specific, so you can try maybe and watching, I don't know if you know the guy Fun Function or something like that, because he also explains it in a really good way, and try and do the exercises that we did in the class. And if you're stuck, then always try and ask us. Maybe. But I'll definitely think about the thing with the video, because that's more or less not the only reason to do it, but it's for people to go back and listen what was said and what did we write. And, Cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
But it is hard when you just start class.
What up?
And especially like we are now at
You?
the advanced stage.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that would be really nice.
That book we have.
I have some.
No?
No.
Yeah, I did like a small kind of project.
I think
Also,
you
you
can
can
use
have multiple time to study, you know. Just
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I'm just a little not sure if I'm thinking the right way about
more
it.
to
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
When you don't spend enough time.
Can we do it in like 5-10 minutes? Because I just have to.
And yeah, we can do it during the week if you
It
want.
needs a lot of practice to
Like
get
he's asking me
the
Saturday,
idea
and
of
I'm free.
how it works.
Okay.
So instead of tracking during the week.
Okay.
I'm not pushing you right now, I just said to just go through some say hi. See
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
going on.
No, it was really nice of you. I
See
really
you.
appreciate
See
it.
you.
So, yeah. Yeah, see you.
Bye.
But we have to do a mock interview. So you're doing like a interview in next week,
Be
right?
surprised.
I was like, huh? What? I was just turning my head. Yeah.
Okay, pretty fine.
Yeah, we'll do that. So should we get started?
Yeah.